So what my clickbait title is referring to is the chaos that might ensue once automation replaces a significant portion of the workforce. Hi, my name is Aaron Harburg. I've been producing videos and other media for the tech industry for most of my career. Most recently, a client of mine hired me to basically produce some media surrounding this topic and to focus on it. And since I'm a product of the startup culture, I decided to do it more iteratively. But the other big reason I'm doing this is because it needs to be talked about. And I am by no means the first person to actually talk about this subject. CPC Gray, for example, did an excellent video called Humans Need Not Apply a couple years ago, which will be linked to in the description below as well as at the end of the video. Federico Pastino also wrote a book that I'm currently working through, which is quite good. The reality is, automation is here. It's already on our streets. Uber is piloting a program. Automation is starting to take over every single industry. The thing that I'm looking at is what is the threshold of instability? Technology is on an exponential as opposed to a linear growth curve, which is a topic I plan on doing as a separate video by itself. The other problem is that the global economic system that we live in is incentivizing major corporations to continue to automate their workforce. Every day it's becoming more and more possible, technically and economically. This rate is only going to accelerate over the next 20 years, which I'll let Kayla from Singularity University explain.
So the current projections are that somewhere between 47 and 81% of jobs as we currently understand them are under threat from technology within 20 years.
It's already happening now. Foxconn, the largest manufacturer of electronic goods, including all of Apple's devices, just cut 60,000 jobs from their workforce earlier this year out of the 100,000. And here's the other thing. I'm really not worried about a Terminator AI scenario. While it's conceptually possible, I don't think it's actually possible. Then there's that Atlas thing. What really worries me is how people are going to react when jobs become increasingly scarce. And I'm not the only one to be worrying about this. Just listen to the billionaire Johan giving his address to Financial Times.
Really what keeps me awake at night that I'm telling you now. How is society going to cope with structural unemployment or social warfare?
The way that the economy is moving, there's a lot of problems here. So that transition, well, I'll let Kayla say it.
So we don't really know what to expect, and I think there's a reasonable likelihood that no matter what the outcome is, the transition will be messy.
Is an economic chaos, violence in the streets, riots over food.
So I can just hear you saying, yeah, but technology always produces more jobs. The idea that it won't is called the Luddite fallacy. Wrong. I'm planning on doing an entire video about how that logic does not work out. The other thing that you might be tempted to say is, well, the government will take care of it. Wrong again. Listen, I am by no means anti-government. I worked as a part of the government for a long time. I've seen some agencies work incredibly well, but I also see how it's become incredibly inefficient and incompetent and how those problems are entrenched, especially when you consider the economic incentives for somebody who understands technology to not be a part of the public sector. And this is made very obvious by the Department of Labor. They have a task force set aside to deal with the question of the future of work, and there's like one guy on there who understands computer science. Now, what does make me optimistic is that President Obama, in his State of the Union address, did talk about this issue.
Today, technology doesn't just replace jobs on the assembly line, but any job where work can be automated. Companies in a global economy can locate anywhere, and they face tougher competition. As a result, workers have less leverage for a raise. Companies have less loyalty to their communities, and more wealth and income is concentrated at the very top.
The economy always moves faster than regulators can keep up, and this was seen in 2009 financial crisis as well as many other areas. So really, here's what I want you to take away. Automation is already here. Second, there's a lot of economic incentives to keep pushing automation to displace more and more of the workforce. And third, there's going to be a lot of chaos in the transition unless we start preparing now for what's about to happen. This video series will be covering a whole bunch of topics such as machine learning and convergences of technologies, as well as exponential versus linear growth curves. I hope to supply you with all the concepts that you need to fully understand this problem. The reason I'm doing this video series is because I believe this needs to be talked about, and I believe there are things that we can do today in order to make that transition smoother. Really, I'm very optimistic about the possibility of automation. I think that a lot of good can come from these technologies, but it's not going to happen if we're just passively standing by. Trust me, the economy is swift and it is brutal. Politics is currently way more divided than it needs to be, but this issue needs to be addressed. So make sure to like and to subscribe. And if you watch another video, make sure to check out CPC Gray's Humans Need Not Apply. I'd also recommend checking out Federico Pastino's channel, as well as the Singularity University. Until next time, stay human.